This session is called Made in India, and we are going to be in conversation with Milan Soman and Roopa Pai. In his rather full life, supermodel Milan Soman has worn many seemingly disparate hats, but the one common thread through them all has been his commitment to physical fitness. In the last several years, he has become an avid advocate of and a role model for a more holistic fitness, one that incorporates mind, body, and spirit. Through personal achievements like completing the Ironman and Ultraman challenges after turning 50, and as the force behind breakthrough ideas like the Pinkathon movement and the Barefoot Marathon, Milind encourages men, women, and others to take charge of their health, get back in touch with nature, and believe in themselves. Excited to have you join us, Milind. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
We also have with us Roopa Pai, who is one of India's best-known writers for children, and as of a minute or two ago, an award-winning writer. This Bangalore-based author has written over 25 books, ranging from picture books to chapter books and fiction to non-fiction. When she's not writing, she can be found leading groups of children and young people on history and heritage walks across her beloved Karnataka as part of her job as director of a company that she co-founded called Bangalore Walks. She has most recently co-authored fitness evangelist and supermodel Milan Soman's memoir, Made in India, and has just wrapped up a book on translation, which will feature 100 poems by celebrated Kannada poet K.S. Nisar Ahmed. Excited to have you with us, Roopa. Thank you. They will be in conversation with Mariam Begg, who is a certified health and nutrition coach from the Institute of Integrative Nutrition, New York. Her keen interest in health and nutrition has led to a lifetime of learning and researching a more holistic approach to balancing busy urban lifestyles. Thanks for joining us, Mariam.
Hi, Milind. How are you doing? And hi, Roopa.
Hi, Mariam.
How's it going? Can you hear us?
Good, good. Your voice is a little low.
Okay, I'll go closer to the mic. Can you hear me now? Am I
Much
audible?
better, much better.
Okay, so let's start.
Much better.
So let's start with, so right early off in the book, right, you said that life's not really been a struggle for me, and I haven't encountered what I would term adversity, which was why you hesitated to actually write the book, because most people have very arduous journeys to be able to write memoirs, right? I saw it otherwise in quite a few incidents in the book. In various places, you've spoken about your positive mental attitudes towards basically everything in life, or even learning positive lessons from unsavory incidents. Is this something you would like to be a strong takeaway from the book?
Well, I can't say what people should take away from the book, as in any experience. You know, I think what I have taken away from the different experiences is that I've had in my life, probably other people would have taken away different things. So it's the same with the book. I mean, it's to me, even writing the book was an experience. Answering Roopa's questions, digging into my life unmercifully, and just going over those things again. And that articulation also kind of was a reaffirmation of the choices that I've made throughout my life. So it depends on, I think, how you perceive life, what you want. You're going to take away what is best for you. And I just hope that the people reading this book have taken things that are going to help them, whoever they are, and whatever their dreams are and whatever they want to do.
Yeah, you did mention that you'd love to if anybody was willing to learn, you'd love to teach them lessons about through lessons that you've learned in your life, right? I did see that at some point of time, which is very interesting. It's something that I thought would be a strong takeaway, would be the positive attitude, actually, because I really love that resonated throughout the book. You also talk about obsession, and you talk about being obsessed with whatever you did as an activity or as passion, or what you took up as reading as a child, swimming as a young man, your modeling career, and obviously your running. It is something that most successful people in every field say is their mantra a lot of times when you ask them. At the same time, you talk about easily moving on and not letting things get to you mentally. How does one obsess to excel and still not let it take over your life?
Um, so I think I would describe myself, if I could, as an explorer and an obsessive personality with an eye for detail. And I think all of those three things have helped me to do various things in my life. So as an explorer, I am able to move on to the next interesting thing. As an obsessive personality, I'm able to really dive in deep into something that interests me, to involve myself completely. And of course, the eye for detail helps me actually to learn more about myself while I'm doing all these things. So I think if I were to say that I had a talent, it would be this. It would be to be able to be involved in something completely and also detach myself whenever I wanted to, whenever the need arose. And I think that it also comes from the fact that something that is very, very important to me, one thing that I protect at all costs is my peace of mind. Nothing else matters to me as much in my life than peace of mind. So whatever it might be, I might have a dream, I might have a goal, I might have an ambition, I might, and I'm saying might because I don't know whether I've actually had any of those. But if I am chasing after something, if I feel at any point it will leave me without peace of mind, I am quite likely to drop it.
It is a gift.
Or at least give it some space.
The two.
It is a gift. I think that's my particular talent.
So let's get on with the book, and this question is for both Roopa and you. I think I was talking to Roopa earlier, and I think writing a memoir is very personal, and both of the two of you have to be able. She has to be able to have some sort of yeah, some sort of you have to get along on a certain level or understand each other at least basically to be able to write a memoir, especially since she was writing it in first person and is trying to not embellish but get into the crux of the mood of everything that you were feeling and you experienced, right? So she did say that you
Yes.
saw her writing. She did say you saw her writing at the during the Olympics at Rio and noticed what she wrote and got in touch with her then. And how did you think of, and did you decide then that she would be writing your book, or did you think about it along the way? And also, Roopa, what did you think when that happened, and how did you make that decision?
Let Milind answer this part.
Oh, you want me to answer first? Say all the nice things about you. Yes, I know. so no, of course. I mean, Roopa, Pai. I think I was really lucky to have read those little stories that you wrote on Facebook that year, the year of the Commonwealth Games, and as I said, I noticed them. And Penguin had been asking me for many years, in fact, to write a story, about my life. And I said, what life? What is there to write? And everything.
You thought, when,
Yeah.
yeah.
So it's very sad that the voice
Milind,
began to
yeah,
glitch at that
yeah.
point when he was saying nice things about me. But yeah, about my writing
He
at
will
least.
say them soon when he comes back.
No, so what I was saying was, yeah, I'm a children's writer.
Right.
So that's why when Penguin contacted me saying Milan Soman wants you to perhaps write his memoir, I was a bit taken aback and wondering. I had my misgivings. I'm thinking, will I be able to do this? But I think much like Milind, I have also been an explorer as a writer. I have very rarely written on the same topic twice. I'm very curious. I'm interested in a great number and variety of things. So I like to experiment and write about different things. So this was another challenge. And I said, okay, I mean, it felt very good that somebody of his stature had noticed my writing and had remembered my name a year later and said to Penguin that she will write the book, if at all. And so, yeah, I said, okay, let's do this.
Yeah, you're using this.
Yeah, you're back. I was just talking about
Yeah,
I accepted to write your book.
of course. Graciously. Graciously.
And yeah, I was, of course, like a bit, apart from the writing of the book itself, having to put myself in first person was a bit scary, because writing a biography is a very different thing from writing in first person. And so, yeah, like you said, you had to have some kind of connection with the subject. Otherwise,
I think you both have very similar personalities in that way, where you were willing to explore something new. And, even though it was something that you had never thought of. And and I think Milind is the same, where everything that comes along, if it's interesting, you will try it.
And the funny thing was,
so that's what I was saying when I got cut off rudely by the internet. It's so Penguin had been asking me for many years to write a story. I didn't think it was that interesting. There was nothing really big that I needed to say. Like you said, what's the takeaway? And even I was asking myself, what would people take away from this story? And I couldn't find anything. And then when I read Roopa's these short stories on the sports people, which was so beautifully written, just like maybe a paragraph, and I said to myself that if I do agree to write this book with Penguin, then this is the person who's going to write it. And I didn't even know that Roopa was a writer. I just thought she's somebody on Facebook and she's written these little stories, and I said they're amazing. And then I told that to Penguin. I said they were trying to find writers to entice me, like, okay, this person will write with you, this person. They're so excited. I said, no. They used to send me little, things written. And then I said, okay, listen, I know a person that I think would be great to write with. And they said, who? I said, I saw her on Facebook and she wrote these little stories. They said, what's her name? I said, her name is Roopa Pai. They said, what? Roopa Pai? I said, yeah, yes. They said, you don't know who she is? I said, no. They were like, she's really famous, she's award-winning, she's written all these books, and she's always refused to work with us. So I said, okay, she's refused to work with you, but maybe if I ask her, it might make a difference. So of course, I asked her and she said yes. How difficult was it for you to say yes?
no, for me it was like,
Why did you say no all these years?
Yeah. No.
I don't know. You get attached to a publisher,
right?
So then you hesitant, especially to my editor at Hachette India, for whom I write most of my books. Her name is Vatsala Kaul, and I'm very attached to her and I respect her greatly. So it's very difficult to shift, because editors are almost like mentors. You have to respect. There should be a lot of mutual respect between the two to make it work. And here I can bring in the editor who edited this book, Gurveen Chadha. She was amazing. She was really lovely, and she could deal with him and with me very well. So that's how
seamlessly.
Yeah.
Okay, so how did you first start writing the book? What did you all do, and how did you get into it, and how did you all get along? Because I think that's very crucial in, like you could agree to write it, and he would like your work, but it has to also resonate with what he is feeling, right?
Yeah. And it has to be a personality
it's
match
very complex.
In a way. Yeah. It's very much again like an editor and writer relationship,
right? Writer
and subject. Like I said at my acceptance speech, I really expected to be overwhelmed by his celebrity, by his fame, by his looks, and I thought, he could be vain, he could give me a lot of attitude, and I wasn't prepared to take too much of celebrity drama. I would have, but I hoped it wouldn't.
Yeah, you were not in that space, and you had not.
You were not.
Like, it was not something that you ever thought about.
Yeah,
before.
I thought it'd be easier if he was a nice person, and
it always is.
Yeah, it always is. But yeah, when I actually met him and we started talking, he never. I realized that he was actually, one of those people who is very aware of his celebrityhood, but completely unburdened by it. So we'd always meet in coffee shops and hotels where he was staying, and people would constantly come up and interrupt us and want selfies.
Yeah.
And, and he would just be very comfortable with all that.
It's that peace of mind
Yeah,
he talks about,
yeah.
where you.
And you know the thing, right? If anybody wants a selfie with him, they have to do 10 push-ups.
Oh.
Otherwise, he doesn't give them selfies. And it's 10 for women and 20 for men if it's sexist. But yes, so that all would happen in my presence.
The conversations.
Which gave me a greater insight into him as a person, which I may not have got if we were just sitting isolated and talking.
Right, yeah.
Because
because you have to get the feel of who this person actually is,
how much he's recognized,
and
how he's recognized everywhere,
yeah.
and he never even,
like he said, his friend came from the US and he knew he was kind of and took him to this cafe and people were like screaming.
Yeah, and he never even puts on a pair of dark glasses or a hoodie. He's just always walking around.
Right.
So it was a lot to learn. It was very nice.
Yeah. And what happened with the first? You must have written something at first and sent it to him.
Yeah. So I was telling you outside that I like to finish projects quickly. I hate to stay with something for too long. But the nature of this book was very different. It was traveling all the time. So it was difficult to get chunks of time with him. But whenever he promised that he would give a chunk of time, he always did. He was very unpunctual. So he would come like about half an hour later for every meeting. But once he came, totally give me his time, and very unadulterated time. I don't think he even checked his phone once. If it was a 3-hour conversation, it would be 3 hours, if not even.
Do you ever check your phone?
That is also a good question. That is also a good question.
Where some people say that I'm on the phone all the time, other people say that I never check my phone, I never answer, I never get back when I'm supposed to get back. But again, I like to be in as much control as I can be. So we know that we're never in control, but with your phone, actually you are. I'd like to think that. So my phone is always on silent. It never rings, never vibrates. I just pick it up once in a while to check, and that's it. I'm not so connected with social media. I might do one post a day and then that's it. I forget about it. In fact, I have a timer on my phone that tells me how long I've been on social media. So that timer is 1 hour and that's it. So consolidated timer, 1 hour on a day is what I allow myself. And mostly I don't even have, I'm not that long on social media. So these are small things that I try to incorporate in my life so that I have as much time as I want for myself. The fact that I could sit with Roopa, apart from the fact that she's a really interesting conversationalist, it was the fact that I had that time. I have as much time as I want. And sometimes people sometimes feel that I don't have time for them. But to me, it's more important to have my time. Always, it's more important to have my time. And again, when I've decided to do something, as I said, I'm a little bit obsessive. Then when I'm doing that, that's all I do. So that 3 hours which I would have spent in that conversation, I doubt that another thought would have entered my head.
So it's focus. It's something that's really important. It's something that I learned quite late. It's focusing on one thing at a time, because we kind of have glorified multitasking, but actually focusing on one thing makes it much more successful and much more easier for you, I think.
Yeah. So I think, of course, like I said, that I think it's the way I am. But I think a lot of these qualities, and I consider positive qualities, were enhanced by sport, by being in competitive sport from a very young age. I mean, we really don't realize, we talk a lot about it, about how impressionable children are and how brains are programmed at a young age. But we don't really focus on that and say that it needs to be programmed in a certain way. We need to focus more on children and make sure that they have certain experiences in their lives. And for me, I know a lot of children don't have an aptitude for sport, but what sport has given me, I can't underestimate that. It's been incredible. When I look back now being 55 to what I was doing between the age of 9 and 23, I think I would be a completely different person if I had not swum competitively. I don't know what I would have been, who I would have been, where I would have been. But today, the person that you see, I think is largely due to what I did as a child.
So I asked Roopa just now when you were about how when she first started writing and the first set of the things that she wrote, the first time that you read what she was writing about you, how was that? How was the beginning and how did it transition? What did you think? Did you think it was like how you had imagined it, or how was the whole relation? How did the whole relationship pan out? Because writing, I mean, I think it's quite a complex
Well,
thing, something like that. So
it is, it is. In fact, like I said, I didn't want to do it. It was not like, oh, I think I should write a book. Or even when they were telling me, I was like, oh, this is an interesting thing to do. It was not interesting at all. To me, the most interesting things were the conversations. Like I said, again, going back into the past, which I never do consciously, but going back and going over certain situations, going over certain experiences and realizing what they mean today, I think that was a very important exercise for me. It was a wonderful exercise. You know, and to have somebody like Roopa take you through that, I think that's another, you know, you should look at a career in counseling, maybe. I don't know, do you have a career in counseling already? You know, because it's such fun to talk to you about, you know, it's fun to talk to you about myself.
Everybody
You
likes
know, and that's something that you want.
no, I don't think. I think
They
even
do,
like,
but it's not welcome most of the time.
I think like you said, you hadn't even reflected
It's
on
not
it.
welcome. You know, you don't
And so
go
she
into a
might have gotten
situation and let me talk about myself. You know, you don't do that. But when you, in this situation where it is required, it was wonderful to be able to do that whole exercise with Roopa. So to me, even when the book came, and Roopa will tell you this, I did not read it for a long time.
first one,
the first.
the intro, okay, like a little
Yeah.
opening.
So he
thing,
had to.
prologue.
Yeah.
That was very short. That was like maybe less than 1,000 words. It was supposed to
Okay.
be like a teaser to open the book.
Yeah.
That he read immediately because it fits on WhatsApp, right? Nicely. Because this man does not have an email. So you cannot send him stuff on email. You have to send everything over WhatsApp. So that was a short thing. And he read it immediately and he loved it. And the next thing he actually read was the epilogue,
Wow.
which was also very short. And what was in between, he did not read for 9 months after I had completed.
And what did that do for you?
Thankfully, I was involved in another book parallelly. I was writing the Vedas and Upanishads for children. And that formed a lot of the conversation we were having actually, you know, and like he says, I should have a career in counseling. I should consider it. He should consider career as guru, swami, like
Yeah,
yogi.
which was
He's
yeah.
very, very deep.
There are lots of takeaways.
And,
Like I was telling him, right?
Yeah.
There are takeaways that even I loved. I
My
loved
hair, see,
matter of fact.
I'm going there. I'm going there. Yeah. Yeah. I'm growing my hair. At least that's in the right direction. See?
It's the pan.
But it was, yeah. But it was great fun. And to me, actually, like Roopa said, I read the first, maybe the first chapter even, as soon as it was written, just to get an idea of what was happening. And I absolutely loved it. And I told her, and I told Gurveen and the publishing house, and I said, it's fantastic. This is, it's going to be a great story because of Roopa. I mean, I have nothing to do with this. And then I thought to myself that when my family reads this, their response is more important, because they will know whether the tone is right, the sound, the rhythm, you know, the language. They will know whether this is correct. I may not be the best judge of it. I might be the best judge of the facts, probably, and the structure and stuff like that. But the way it sounds nobody would know better than my family. So I waited actually for them to read it. And they took a long time. Let me blame them now. They took a long time to read it, but they loved it. They said, oh my God, this sounds exactly like you. And let me tell you, my family is very finicky. Okay, my mother's a teacher, so you know how teachers are. And my sisters have all been teachers, so there you are. But they were all like, wow, this is really perfect. It's a great association, and the book just sounds exactly like you.
Thank you. That's
How
the first
fabulous,
time,
Roopa, how
the first time I
fabulous.
heard of it. I'm glad. I'm glad.
Were there any parts along the way that you felt that you needed to bring out a lot more of what he was feeling, and he wasn't able to?
Yeah, and so obviously you read things when you're talking to somebody, you read more into their personality, you sort of imagine what's going on in their head, and I put that into the book. That's why I was so keen that he reads it as it's written, because am I reflecting what is actually happening in your head? And there was other things that I needed to enhance, like the background about the Bombay Marathon, or the time
That
when he
era.
became a supermodel, because those 90s were the supermodel days, and after that we haven't had them.
And I loved that. I loved how you explained the whole Rohit Bal thing and going there. And it's just so, it went back to a lot of our memories growing up. And it kind of brought back a lot.
Yes,
I mean,
exactly. That's what I wanted to evoke. That everybody who's reading it feels that nostalgia, because everybody knows him as the Made in India man. Everybody remembers him on the covers of magazines. And he's one of those fan-generational, heroes. My daughter thinks he is extremely good looking. My husband's grandmother knew so much about him. So it's one of those, he's appealing to all generations. So he's a very evergreen kind of person that people want to read about. That's why I had to get him right.
So what was the celebration when you finally got him to finish it? What was that? It took so long.
I think Praveen and I, literally we were partying like Bhangra.
Yeah. I think it was nothing compared to the joy we felt when we won this award. I mean, it was much bigger. Like, oh, we finally finished this book. I think it was amazing. It was really lovely. It was fantastic.
That we had only one launch for the book, really.
Because it happened in the beginning of Jan.
End of Jan,
the beginning of the pandemic.
Yeah,
so to say,
and right at the beginning, right, when I maybe on the first time I met Milind, I was like, you have to promise me one thing. I'm doing this book, but it's as much for me and for you as it's for my girlfriends. So when the book actually comes out, you have to promise that you will do one launch for me in my home. And I can invite my friends, and otherwise, what's the point of having me as a friend if they can't have a selfie with Milan Soman without the push-ups? Okay. So he had said yes. And because the book took 2.5 years or something to finish, from beginning to end, I was not sure whether he would remember. Then I said, and will you do it at my house? He promised. And he said, yes, of course. Let's fix it immediately. So it released end of Jan, February 13th, Valentine's Day Eve. All my friends.
Wow, you made a lot of women's lives, right?
Yeah. But one more wonderful thing he did was he said, well, if I have to come and we have to do this event, then it has to serve someone or something. It can't be just social event where I come and meet. So he said, do it as a fundraiser. So the book actually cost 500 rupees. He said, will your friends be willing to pay 1,500? 1,000 of that will go to charity. And whatever you raise in that evening, I will match it.
Wow.
And you can pick 2 charities or 1 charity, whoever you want, your favorite ones in Bangalore, because it's going to be a Bangalore launch, which I did. I picked 2 charities, and because I'm a children's writer, they both had to do with primary education for underprivileged children. And they were called the Tejasvita Trust and the Prapti Foundation, and both were run by women who were very driven. So we raised a lakh in the fundraiser at my house, and he matched it immediately with another lakh. So that was, now he's frozen again.
Yeah. Okay. So
so sweet.
No, but I never even got to post about it. It's bad. I wanted to talk about.
And you're the heroine in all your friends' lives right now.
Yeah.
You're like everything, anything you do from now on.
And every time I was going to interview him, can I carry your laptop? Can I carry your book? Can I come with you? Can I sit with you? But everybody got 5 hours.
So when you, I mean, I don't know whether you all both know, but the Popular Choice Award was, it was an overwhelming Popular Choice Award. It was an overwhelming popular choice. More than 65% of the votes went to your book. So congratulations. That was like,
Wow.
yeah, that's amazing.
They should have written about that. I would have been so happy to read it.
I think they will. They might. Yeah, they probably will.
Yeah, they can. Yeah.
So what about your career in movies? Did you look at it as
No, I'm glad that I'm glad that people liked it, because, and they write to me. In fact, every day, somebody or the other writes to me and they send me images and say, I've got your book, I've read it. And small things. So I was thinking about, there's nothing big, and it's not that I've had an accident and I've come back. Small things that I spoke about. They say, oh, we're doing this, this was great. We started thinking in a different way. That's really, really nice
right?
to hear.
In today's world, we want really more
Yeah,
than
to me it is the small things.
Yeah.
It's always the small things that matter. Like, even if there's a big thing that has happened, it is the small things that are connected with that, before, during, after, that actually make it meaningful. It's not the thing itself, it's all the things around it that make it meaningful. So I'm really happy that these conversations brought out those things. And I have a terrible memory. I kept telling Roopa that I just don't remember what happened. Journalists come and ask me normally, oh, what did you do as a model? I said, model? I was a model 30 years ago, I don't remember. Don't ask me things about when I was a model. So it was difficult in that way, to give her as much as I knew is needed to really make a nice story. It was really difficult. So those conversations were important, and very important for me as well.
I think we've run out of. Have we run out of time? Or
We
can
have a
do-
couple of audience questions. So if you have
Right.
any final questions, we could take that, Mariam, and then we can get into
Yeah, I
audience.
just wanted to know one more thing. I want to know you doing the movies. What was it that you when you got into the movies and you thought about when you did it? What was it that you got from it, and what I think like in India itself, if you get on to it's a great platform for you to be able to get messages across, and for you to be able to in future, things that you want to do. I think it's such a great platform. Apart from, people think it's like song and dance and it's really cheesy and this and that, but you reach out. You're able to reach out to a lot of people through them easily. I think.
Yes. So let me tell you something. When I was a model, and maybe it's written in the book, most of the models, 99% of the models, kind of looked down on films.
Yes.
They were like, there's no way we would ever act in one of those. It was that bad. And any model who was like, oh, I'm going to do a film, was like, what? Are you okay, fine. It was like that. But I never wanted to be an actor. Neither did I ever want to be a model. Like I've mentioned earlier, I didn't really have any great vision for my future. I wanted to be a zookeeper at one point. At some other point, I wanted to be a mountaineer. And, like all kids have these dreams. But nothing that I said, okay, this is what I have to do. Because at the back of the mind, our culture is about stability and security and career and getting a job. So I didn't really take it seriously. I studied engineering, hated it, but I said that, probably this is what I'll have to do. And then one day somebody offered me money. So at the risk of sounding shallow, what you get, very importantly, is money. No, seriously, you get
A lot of money.
models and actors are highly overpaid, at least some of them. Some of them. It's a lot of money. You know, I keep justifying to my friends who say, you get money for nothing. And I say, yes, I mean, compared to a farmer or a soldier, yes, absolutely, I agree with you. But I do put in 100%. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. It is not justified. We're very, very highly overpaid. And as you say, it does put you in a position to do good. And I see there are a lot of actors and celebrities, people who are famous, who take that opportunity to do good. They have a platform, they use it well. And a lot of them don't. And that's okay. I think it's okay. It's your life. You have to live it the way you want. So to me, again, I didn't, even when I started acting, I had seen in a certain section of society, great adulation as a model, great adulation. And when I became an actor and that platform became bigger, I didn't want more than that, you know? And when I say that, I know a lot of people find it difficult to understand, because I think for our generation and a couple of generations back, it's like fame and glamour has become a big thing, and it's becoming bigger and bigger. And I didn't want too much of it, you know. I had an idea, a point that it would be too much. So I kind of restricted myself and said, okay, I'm going to do maybe 100 days of work as an actor. And the rest of the time, I'm going to do other stuff that I really want to do as a person. This is my time. It's not acting to entertain people or to indulge the actor inside me. I have many other interests, and I'm going to make sure that I'm able to enjoy those interests. And I find that at some time when you become too famous or too popular, I would say, it restricts you from living a fuller life. It absolutely restricts you. And I think I'm on the edge of that. You know, as Roopa explained, you know, when we were even talking, people would come, and they come to me all the time. And it is an intrusion at some level, but I understand that I'm a public persona. They find that I'm interesting, and I'm happy that some things that I've done are actually inspiring them to lead better lives. You know, I didn't do it for that. But it has happened, and that's great. You know, it's fantastic. So it was a conscious decision at some level that I want to restrict my popularity. I don't want to do big films. I never did any big films as a lead, the popular films, you know, which are all about the song and dance, which I really thought was cheesy, and I still think is cheesy. I would never do it. You know, I wouldn't. I would rather do a small role to indulge, as I said, the actor inside me. And okay, I'm acting, I'm having great fun. Let me tell you, for me, act is like a holiday. It's like being for some time, where everybody is just there to help you do this thing that you're supposed to do. And then after that, you go back to real life. For me, I think it's been wonderful. That kind of balance has been great. You know, I don't know whether, sometimes I tell people that, but they just don't understand. People keep telling me that, why didn't you work harder at being an actor? You would have been the biggest actor in the country. That's if I didn't want to be the biggest actor in the country. I still don't want to be the biggest actor in the country. I want to do enough that gives me more freedom, but not restriction. Because as we all know, too much of something, literally too much of something,
not good. It's the balance.
It can be something that you don't want.
Which is
It's the balance. You have to find it. Balance.
So we have some questions from the audience. Do we have?
Sure. So we have some questions that have come in, and I'm going to just read it out to both Roopa and Milind. So Roopa, the first question is for you. Is there any specific reason why Milan Soman's experience at Standard Chartered Mumbai Marathon runs through the entire book, has some sort of a prelude to each chapter? I found such a narrative very innovative and interesting. This is from Divya Purandar.
Thank you. Thank you, Divya. Actually, I don't like telling very linear stories. And I had decided that this would be a chronology of his life from childhood to this. So I needed something to break it up. I've always been a fan. I mean, he keeps saying that there is a hero's journey in his life. But just running a marathon itself can be a hero's journey.
Right.
The difficulty, the facing of the monsters, the slaying of the monster, and then finally triumph at the end. Okay. So I had thought I would put the Iron Man there because it seemed to me like the most difficult. How can anybody, and at the age of 50 he did it.
Yeah.
So I said, I'm going to put the Iron Man as an interspersed thing. And he said, no, not the Iron Man. The Iron Man was easy. And I was like, okay. So he said, actually, the Standard Chartered Bombay Marathon,
The first one.
the very first full marathon that I ran, that killed me, that destroyed me and taught me a lot about myself. So that would be a nice story to put in. And only for that reason, it's there.
Fantastic. Thank you. Milind, the next one is for you. This is from Roopa Basrur. She asks, your mom is amazing and her fitness levels are inspiring. What is your take on how she has affected your life? Were you able to hear that?
Yes, the question. So I have to tell you what my idea of fitness is before you understand the impact. So I don't know if I mentioned it in the book, and Roopa and I were discussing this yesterday. We've forgotten what is written in the book, but what I think fitness is all about is how you live your life. If you are able to live your life in a positive way, if you are able to take positive lessons from every experience, if you're able to create a positive environment around yourself with the people around you to give 100%, that determines your level of fitness. Not how much you can run, not how much weight you can lift. That all enhances how you do this. But what you need to do to be fit for life is to bring a positive impact in the life of everyone around you. However small it might be, you don't have to change everybody's life. But when they're around you, there must be a positive atmosphere. It must be a positive environment. So to me, that is the level of fitness that I've always striven for. Because within that level of fitness, I can then choose to do whatever I want. In that level of fitness, I'm fearless. In that level of fitness, there is absolutely no doubt because it is all positive. I know that anything that happens to me is going to help me become something better, because that is the choice I have made, right? So, of course, now people are so impressed with my mother's fitness at the age of 81. And every birthday and every Mother's Day, I put up a video of her exercising. And it is impressive, because we have forgotten what is normal. We've forgotten what is normal. We've forgotten that every 80-year-old person who is in good health should be able to do this. And to be in good health, all you need to do is take care of that health. Exercising, I would say being super active after the age of 60. As I mentioned earlier, she was a teacher, so then going to college and all of that, taking care of children, that took up all of her time. But at the age of 60, she started trekking, right? So people were very impressed with that. She climbed Kilimanjaro, and she went to Everest Base Camp and Annapurna Base Camp. And even today, she treks as often as she can. We just came back from a trek out of Darjeeling at 12,000 feet, where she trekked for 21 kilometers on the last day to get to Falut, that viewpoint, And even the guides who had come from the Himalayan Institute of Mountaineering were so impressed. They all touched her feet. They came from the Himalayan Mountaineering Institute, which trains mountaineers from all over the world. And they were like, this is incredible. How can this woman do this? So that, of course, is very, very inspiring for everybody. And of course, it's still inspiring for me today. Looking at that, and this is something that I would like for myself when I'm 80. And I'm sure people who watch us say that this is what I would like to be when I'm 80. But what is more important is how she was able to achieve that. Not physically, but mentally, emotionally, spiritually, how she has put herself in that position to be able to choose this lifestyle. Most people can't choose. They want to, they would love to, they may dream of it, but they can't choose it. Because the way they have lived their life, at some point, they've taken the wrong decisions. And I'm not saying she hasn't. I'm sure she has, many of them. But in the final analysis, in all of the things, when they come together, she is able to choose this. And as I was saying earlier, all the tiny things matter. Every tiny thing matters. And that I tell people all the time. That, don't think about Iron Man, and don't think about Ultraman, and don't think about a full marathon. Think about the next step you're going to take to lead a better life. Whatever it might be. It might be to do with exercise, might be to do with your food, it might be to do with your job, your relationship. It could be anything. What is that next step you're going to take to make this better? And of course, I don't know the steps that she's taken, but I know that because she took more steps in a positive direction, today she's able to choose that lifestyle. And it's difficult to explain that to people. But when I say that I learned a lot from sport when I was a child, you are never too old to learn from sport.
Our next question, we have an member. Over to you.
Hi, Milind. Hi, Roopa. Congratulations on the award. And my question, I'm Farah. I'm also a first-time author. And I want to ask you, Made in India, such an obvious choice of a title for his biography. Was there anything that even made to the shortlist? And if yes, what was it?
None.
None.
None. No others. At least in my. I want to acknowledge Vidya Mani, a very dear friend of mine, who actually suggested the title to me.
Right?
Yeah.
It's just so bang on.
Yeah, really. I mean, and his personality suited that so well, that Made in India. He talks very traditional stuff. He's talking about local food, all this before it became fashionable, right? He's always talking about, what to eat and how to live, and he runs barefoot. It's all about getting closer to your roots, and his roots are definitely India. So, it suited it very well.
So you came up with it, or Milind? Or with
Vidya came up with it. I embraced it. I said, this is going to be it, and I'll fight
it's just
anybody to the death who wants to change it. So I don't think my editor or Milind had much of a choice.
Congratulations again.
Thank you.
This next question is for you, Roopa. Is there anything you discovered about yourself during this association?
That's a good one. Yeah, actually, a lot of when I was a lot of the time, I felt like he was echoing my thoughts, my journey, my philosophy. So again, like he said, it helped him to go back into his past and figure out what brought him here. And I agreed so deeply with some of the things he was saying. It helped me find out more about myself as well. And he was articulating them so beautifully. I was like, oh yeah, that's true. I'm like that too. I'm like that too. So yeah, that's what I discovered, I think.
Okay, great. And probably we'll take this as one final question. Okay, maybe one audience.
A question for the author. As biographer and an author, what aspects did you choose to include in the book, and which ones did you not include? More so, why didn't you include them as such?
Yeah, so see, the good thing about being a memoir writer and not a biographer is that I have no responsibility. If I had been a biographer, I would have had the responsibility to talk to all his contacts, see him through different lenses of girlfriends and fellow runners, and how they saw him and how they perceived him and his journey, and I'd have to bring all that into the book. This was a much easier thing to do, in the sense, whatever he told me, I had to reproduce it. That's all. Whatever he chose to share with me, that went into the book. So I didn't have, of course, I asked probing questions all the time, trying to excavate more about his life. But in the end, I'm limited by what he wants to share and what he wants to put in the book.
But was it more of when you had so much information?
Yeah.
Would you have to choose and pick? And how did you choose and pick between that information?
Yeah, actually, like he said, he doesn't have a very good memory of what happened in the past. So he didn't give me all that much. So in fact, the book should have been about 1.5 times in size. Wow. So I wrote a lot more. We talked about a lot more. I put a lot more into the book. And then in the final edits, he decided that some things were best left out because of the impact it may have on other people. And that is entirely his prerogative since it's a memoir that he wants to share. So we just take out quite a lot of it as well, which hurt me because I'm like, no, but it sort of rounds you out as a person. But then he had his reasons for wanting to leave some of it out, which we did.
All right. Thank you.
This probably will be our last question, and this is for both Milind and Roopa. If you had to go back in time and do this all over again, how would you do it differently?
Milan? Yeah. Yeah, I would have. Yeah.
I mean, well, to take off from what Roopa said last, that I left out a lot of things. So then obviously the next book would be The Secret Life of Milan Soman, right? Which didn't make it to Made in India.
Yeah. Outtake.
Outtakes, yeah.
Yes, I would have liked it to be a little faster.
Mhm.
I would have liked him to have read the completed manuscript maybe in 3 months, not in 9. But I think eventually it all worked out because it came out in this year, and this is a year when a lot of people needed a lot of inspiration and hope.
Yeah.
And I think this book
And maybe
serves
started
to-
reading again.
Yes, that's true. So it's a good story for this.
Yeah, fantastic. With that, Mariam, do you want to wrap up the conversation?
Thank you, Milan and Roopa. That was amazing. And thanks, Milan, for all the inspiration. You a lot, like Roopa said, a lot of what you wrote really resonated with me. It was not embellished and there were no bells and whistles, but it resonated with a lot of how we grew up and decisions we took and how decisions you take just pan out with I think your inner voice comes out a lot of times when you retain your true identity and learn to be able to celebrate that identity no matter what anybody else says. And thank you, Roopa. That was really amazing. I love the way that you have voiced whatever he went through in his life and made it so interesting and such an easy read. It was not complicated, or it was not boring in any part at all. I loved the whole marathon and what he went through and thinking about stuff, because you do think about stuff when you're doing things like that.
Yeah.
And it was really, really good. Thank you so much, both of them. Thank you.
Thanks, Milind, and thanks, Roopa, and thanks, Mariam, for moderating this session. We appreciate it. All right, with that, it's a wrap here on day 2 of the Bangalore Literature Festival. 2020. Yeah. Who would have thought we're back to meeting in person, even in, albeit in small groups? Yeah. I think it makes us all hopeful that things will get back to normal at some point. It's been fantastic having all of you join us. Many of you virtually, but also many of you who were brave enough to come and participate in person. So we really appreciate it. So that's really it. I think it's been a fantastic 2 days. Thank you so much for all the support on behalf of the organizers of the Bangalore Literature Festival. We really, really thank you and appreciate all your help and support. We look forward to seeing you next year. Till then, take care and stay safe. Thank you.
Thank you.